All right, yo, what's going on, everyone? I absolutely need to tell you about what went down yesterday on First Take, because it was genuinely one of the most trade scenario-heavy and roster construction-focused discussions about the Los Angeles Lakers potentially pursuing Jonathan Kuminga from the Golden State Warriors to complement Luka Doncic and LeBron James with his athleticism and defensive versatility, while Kuminga seeks an expanded, consistent role he doesn't get in Steve Kerr's rotation. Plus, the explosive alternative of acquiring Michael Porter Jr. from the Brooklyn Nets, who's averaging a career-high 26 points, shooting 40% from 3 on 9 attempts, as the primary option that I've witnessed all season long. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharpe, Brian Windhorst, and the entire panel spent nearly 4 hours meticulously dissecting Eric Slater's report that the Nets appear willing to listen to trade offers for Porter Jr., who's expected to draw interest amid his red-hot start after being acquired alongside an unprotected 2032 Nuggets first-round pick for Cam Johnson. The contract complications with Porter Jr. making $38.3 million this year and $41 million next season, creating cap space nightmares requiring the Lakers to send out approximately $42 million, including Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, Max Christie, and Dalton Knecht in a 4-for-1 swap. The philosophical question of whether Porter Jr. is offensive firepower at 18.4 field goal attempts per game, shooting 49.7% overall, and 40% from 3 as a career. 40.6% three-point shooter makes him worth gutting depth when the Lakers' starting 5 already has the best offense in basketball. The alternative scenario involving trading Austin Reeves to clear salary, allowing them to acquire Porter Jr., plus using assets to get Herb Jones or Trey Murphy, creating a lineup of Luka Jones, Porter, LeBron, Ayton, and most explosively, the Jonathan Kuminga scenario, where at just 23 years old, he fits the Lakers' timeline with Luka and Reeves providing athleticism, defensive versatility, and transition finishing that complements Luka as the primary playmaker while improving front-court depth alongside DeAndre Ayton or Jared Vanderbilt, with Kuminga's motivations being the opportunity for an expanded, prominent role with consistent minutes he doesn't get in Golden State, plus the chance to develop alongside legends like LeBron and rising star Luka in the Los Angeles market, increasing his future contract value. And the way they methodologically evaluated everything, from why Denver had to attach a first-round pick just to dump Porter Jr., his contract making his trade value uncertain to whether the Lakers should give up their first for a player who's not a defensive specialist when they already have elite offense to the Porter Jr. timeline, showing health improvement from not playing his rookie season to 77 games last year, proving durability to why trading Reeves for Porter Jr. makes more sense financially, since Porter Jr. is cheaper and shorter term than Reeves' next contract to the Kuminga fit, providing exactly what the Lakers need in athletic, versatile two-way play without the massive contract complications had everyone in the studio absolutely mesmerized. Because this isn't just about adding one player. This is about the Lakers recognizing they need to maximize their championship window with Luka and LeBron by either going all in on offensive firepower with Porter Jr., while sacrificing depth and future flexibility, or strategically acquiring Kuminga, whose youth, athleticism, and defensive upside fit both the present contention timeline and post-LeBron future without the catastrophic contract ramifications that Porter Jr.'s $41 million next season would create. Hey, what's up, everyone? Before we dive in, I need 1 second of your time. That like button right there? Hitting it now makes a massive difference in reaching more fans with this content. I know you're ready for the breakdown, but real quick, just smash that like button. It's the single most powerful way to support this channel and help the algorithm push this to thousands more people. Every like matters, so do me that favor right now. So First Take opens, and Stephen A. Smith, has this absolutely trade deadline intensity, like he's about to reveal multiple high-profile acquisition targets for the Lakers, and Stephen A. immediately establishes that, per reports from Eric Slater, the Brooklyn Nets appear willing to listen to trade offers for Michael Porter Jr., who's expected to draw interest on the trade market amid his red-hot start, which he absolutely is, having playing phenomenal basketball. And Stephen A. talks about how the Nets are likely to gauge offers for the veteran whom they acquired alongside an unprotected Nuggets 2032 first-round pick for Cam Johnson. And in the offseason, Denver traded Porter Jr. to Brooklyn, attaching a first, which a lot of people questioned why, but it's because his contract was ridiculous. And Stephen A. makes this point that any team that trades for Porter Jr. is going to have to take on that contract, which we'll touch on. But what it did for the Nuggets was not just a one-for-one swap to solely get off his contract, it also opened the door to get Tim Hardaway Jr., Bruce Brown, and Giannis Valanciunas, using those exceptions, adding depth that was a necessity. And Stephen A. keeps emphasizing Nets willing to listen, contract is massive, Denver attached pick to dump him, making it abundantly clear the financial complications are serious. Shannon Sharpe, who's always been incredibly vocal about contract situations, immediately jumps in, providing Porter Jr.'s impressive statistics, and Shannon talks about how Brooklyn got a guy who is absolutely torching the league right now, playing 21 games, all starts, averaging 32.6 minutes. And Shannon reads the career-high numbers showing Porter Jr. is averaging 18.4 field goal attempts per game, which is the highest of his career by 5 attempts, shooting just under 50% at 49.7%, shooting 40% from three-point range on 9 attempts when he's a career 40.6% three-point shooter. And Shannon makes this critical point that what's more impressive is he's shooting 40% from 3, as basically the primary option, with all the defensive focus and attention on him having to self-create more than he ever has. And people forget, this was the player expected coming out of college, before he settled into a role with Denver after falling in the draft due to back issues. And Shannon explains Porter Jr. His durability has improved dramatically from not playing his rookie season to only 55 games, then 61, then 9, but since then, it's gone up every year with 62, 81, and 77 games last year. And Shannon keeps saying career-high usage, elite efficiency, health has improved, making it clear Porter Jr. is producing at a high level. Brian Windhorst then provides the complete statistical breakdown showing elite efficiency. And Windhorst talks about how from two-point range on 9.4 attempts, Porter Jr. is shooting 59.1%. When he's a career 59% guy, his effective field goal percentage is 59.5%, and he's a career 60% EFG player, making him a very efficient scorer who can play on-ball and off-ball. And Windhorst reads the rebounding, showing 7.3 rebound, which he's always been really good at as a career 6.5 guy, plus 3.2 assists, which is actually the most of his career, which is interesting, a steal, half a block, and 26 points per game. And Windhorst makes this argument that at 27 years old, Porter Jr. fits the timeline for Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves, which is something the Lakers have, based on reports, been looking for, players in that age range. And Windhorst explains that adding Porter Jr. solves your three-point shooting spot. He can slot in at the 3 or really play positions 2 to 4 because he's got the size, length, and height. And Windhorst keeps emphasizing elite efficiency, fits timeline, positional versatility, making it clear the on-court fit is strong. But then Stephen A. Smith addresses the massive contract problem that complicates everything. And Stephen A. talks about how the biggest problem is Porter Jr.'s contract, which is atrocious, making $38.3 million this year and then just under $41 million next year. And Stephen A. makes this passionate argument that you might be thinking, who cares if he takes you over the top? Look at how he's playing. But if you trade for that contract, you can forget all the cap space you'd have in the offseason to round out a roster. You probably lose DeAndre Ayton unless he's willing to accept that player option for $8 million, which maybe he would if the Lakers win a championship. And Stephen A. explains that it complicates things because Austin Reeves is probably going to get paid, though you could argue maybe you trade Reeves, especially if Porter Jr. is playing at this level. But the biggest problem is getting to the salary matching number because you'd essentially have to send out probably $42 million. And Stephen A. keeps saying, contract is catastrophic, kills cap flexibility, salary matching nightmare, making it absolutely clear this creates massive financial problem. Shannon Sharpe then lays out the specific trade package that would be required, and Shannon talks about how you're talking about Rui Hachimura, right? You're talking Gabe Vincent, which gets you to about $30 million. Then you add in Max Christie and Dalton Knecht, probably doing a 4-for-1 swap for him. And Shannon explains that because you're going to have to fill in roster spots, you need to clear more money than you take back since the Lakers don't have the cap space to do it. And Shannon makes this critical question asking, could the Lakers trade for Michael Porter Jr.? Absolutely, but how much would it cost? And what would it cost to land him, considering Denver gave up a pick just to get off his contract? So what is his value? And are teams lining up to give up a first for him? And Shannon asks if the Lakers would give up their first for Porter Jr. And if it's something where Brooklyn, we can help you get off his contract, give you a young guy in Dalton Knecht, and a second, then, yeah, honestly, he'd take the risk and figure it out. Because at worst, he's a $40 million expiring contract next season, and he's probably the best player you could get in the trade market right now, unless Giannis is realistic. And Shannon keeps emphasizing 4-for-1 swap required, first-round pick question, best available player, making it clear the cost is significant. But then Brian Windhorst introduces the alternative scenario that makes more strategic sense, and Windhorst talks about how the problem is defensively Porter Jr. isn't really that defensive specialist who's going to lock down stuff. Denver was 15th in defense every year with him, but he is a guy where at that point, you're probably the best offense in basketball. And Windhorst makes this argument that it boils down to what is the cost, and it's not his favorite. If he's being honest, it has nothing to do with Porter Jr.'s play, but he thinks it could potentially cause a headache for the Lakers and doesn't know if Porter Jr. is the move that puts them over the top, since they're already one of the best offenses with the starting five literally being the best in basketball. And Windhorst explains that for what it would cost to get Porter Jr., you can get several guys that could potentially do as much if not more collectively, and Porter Jr. isn't going to average 26 points per game on this Lakers team with Austin Reeves, LeBron James, and Luka Doncic. And Windhorst keeps saying, not a defensive specialist, offensive redundancy, depth better than stars, making it clear there are strategic concerns. Stephen A. Smith then introduces the alternative of trading Austin Reeves, which changes everything. And Stephen A. talks about how if the Lakers were interested in trading Austin Reeves, then he'd be more open to Michael Porter Jr., because Porter Jr. would actually be cheaper than Reeves' next contract and a shorter-term deal, so if it doesn't work out, you can get off him. Plus, Porter Jr. is the same age, giving you the same timeline distance. And Stephen A. makes this comprehensive scenario, explaining that what he would do is trade for Michael Porter Jr. first. Let's say you had to give up your first for that, which is fine, but then you'd still have a second, and you'd try to keep Dalton Knecht at that point, using him as salary filler. And Stephen A. explains, then here's Knecht, and a second go get Keon Ellis. Now you bring in Ellis, and then can you turn Austin Reeves into Herb Jones plus something? Or find a team Reeves wants to go to and trade him for the best package, then use those assets to get Herb Jones. And Stephen A. lays out the lineup of Luka Doncic, Herb Jones, Michael Porter Jr., LeBron James, and DeAndre Ayton, saying that's not unrealistic at all because Denver had to give up a first to get off Porter Jr. So his value won't be insanely high due to his contract and being a very specific player who's not a great defensive guy. And Stephen A. keeps emphasizing, trade Reeves changes calculus, build around Porter Jr., add defensive pieces separately, making it clear this is the strategic path. But then Shannon Sharpe introduces the Jonathan Kuminga alternative that avoids all these complications. And Shannon talks about how instead of dealing with Porter Jr., his massive contract and having to gut depth, the Lakers could pursue Jonathan Kuminga from Golden State Warriors, who at just 23 years old fits their timeline perfectly. And Shannon makes this comprehensive argument about Kuminga's motivations for the Lakers, explaining that he offers athleticism and defensive versatility, complementing Luka Doncic, who was acquired in the Anthony Davis trade, and LeBron James, with his ability to run the floor and finish in transition, fitting perfectly with Luka as the primary playmaker. And Shannon explains that Kuminga could instantly improve roster depth and with his wingspan form an intimidating defensive pairing with players like DeAndre Ayton or Jared Vanderbilt in the front court. Plus, at 23 years old, he's seen as a player with all-star potential, making him important for the franchise's future, especially in the post-LeBron era. And Shannon talks about how Kuminga can be a shot creator for the second unit, relieving offensive pressure from LeBron and Luka, offering points from various areas. And Shannon keeps saying Kuminga fits timeline, elite defensive potential, post-LeBron building block, making it clear this is the smarter long-term move. Brian Windhorst then addresses Kuminga's motivations for wanting to join the Lakers, and Windhorst talks about how Kuminga's main motivation would be the opportunity to have a prominent role with regular, consistent minutes, which he feels he hasn't had the chance to show fully with the Warriors, where we've discussed his DNPs and rotation frustration. And Windhorst explains that playing alongside legends like LeBron James and rising star Luka Doncic could provide the ideal environment for Kuminga to develop his game and improve his skill. Plus, a larger role and standout performance in the Los Angeles market could increase his market value and guarantee a financially better long-term contract in the future. And Windhorst makes this point that a change of scenery would benefit Kuminga, who has faced frustrations and inconsistencies in Golden State, seeking a new team where he can reach his all-star potential. And Windhorst keeps emphasizing seeks consistent role, mentorship from legends, LA market exposure, making it clear both sides benefit. What really struck me, watching this entire First Take segment, was how the panel comprehensively debated whether the Los Angeles Lakers should pursue Michael Porter Jr. from Brooklyn Nets, who's averaging career-high 26 points on 18.4 field goal attempts, shooting 49.7% overall and 40% from three as the primary option, proving he can be the player expected coming out of college. But his contract making $38, $3 million this year, and $41 million next creates catastrophic cap space problems, requiring a 4-for-1 swap, sending out Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, Max Christie, and Dalton Knecht, plus potentially a first-round pick just to acquire a player. Denver had to attach a first to dump, and while Porter Jr., at 27, fits the Luka Reeves timeline, providing elite three-point shooting and positional versatility, playing 2-4, the defensive deficiencies, and offensive redundancy, when the Lakers' starting five already has the best offense. In basketball, makes this questionable unless they trade Austin Reeves first, creating salary flexibility to then acquire Porter Jr. Plus, use remaining assets to get defensive pieces like Herb Jones, building a lineup of Luka Jones, Porter, LeBron, Ayton, and I think the clear consensus was that the smarter alternative involves pursuing Jonathan Kuminga from Golden State Warriors, who at just 23 years old fits the Lakers' timeline, providing the athleticism, defensive versatility, and transition finishing that complements Luka as the primary playmaker while improving front-court depth alongside DeAndre Ayton or Jared Vanderbilt, without the massive contract complications, with Kuminga's motivations being the opportunity for an expanded prominent role with consistent minutes. He doesn't get under Steve Kerr's rotation chaos, plus the chance to develop alongside legends like LeBron and rising star Luka in the Los Angeles market, increasing his future contract value while seeking the change of scenery that allows him to finally reach his all-star potential away from Golden State's frustrations and inconsistencies. So, while Michael Porter Jr. represents the high-risk, high-reward offensive firepower play that would require gutting depth and sacrificing future flexibility, Jonathan Kuminga represents the strategic fit, providing exactly what the Lakers need in athletic two-way versatility at a reasonable cost, both financially and in terms of assets given up, while positioning the franchise for both present contention with Luka and LeBron, and post-LeBron sustainability as a young core building block.